a ton of international folks that work there, which is phenomenal. It's just a lot of companies are not necessarily set up for a large quantity of that. So that's one of those things where I'd say if that's what you want, you need to let people know and you need to go for it, because the opportunities are definitely out there, and it is such an amazing experience. For anybody that has a bent in that direction, I highly, highly recommend it. But you need to network your way. I mean, I had to talk to everybody I knew once I started at Ford Motor Company and make sure they knew that that's what I wanted. And they helped me get there, which is great.
You were a girl with a plan. You had a mission. And the thing is, what you said earlier too about getting to know people, and they could ask you about it and you can tell them about the loopholes, right? Like, oh my God, just make sure that when you think about coming back, that you have to think about all these things, like an exit strategy. You can't just assume it's going to happen. So it's important to know all those ups and downs. Well, I mean, what a career, what an awesome career. And you are definitely a fantastic opportunity mentor for people to reach out to. So I really hope that when you guys listen to this and you hear about Marie, she's so willing to do that. She works, like you heard, she works with colleges. And one of the things I wanted to bring up with Marie today is she recently had a baby girl. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
She is adorbs, this little towhead. And I made her send me pictures. But we wanted to talk a little bit about how she came to that decision, because it was a huge decision in her life. She did it as a single mom. And there's a lot of women out there that are apprehensive about, potentially being a single mom. And just wanted to hear Marie's story of how she came to the decision and some of the things she was up against making that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really was. It was one of those things I had always kind of kept it in the back of my mind. But initially, I was going along the same traditional path, right? I was dating, trying to find the right person. Now, granted, I moved around a bit, so that made that a little more challenging. And honestly, wasn't very disciplined with the online dating thing, and the organic thing wasn't necessarily happening. So it got to a point, I had just come out of a relationship, and I said, I don't want to miss my chance to have a child. And by that point, I never even really thought I was going to be one of those that felt that strongly about having a child. But it had gotten to the point where I'm like, it's just really important to me to do it. And so the biggest hurdle, I'd say, at least mentally, I'm sure it would have been fine, was really just making sure that I was stable enough financially to do it. I have a lot more empathy for, the guys in the 50s that were the breadwinners for the whole family, because there is a fair amount of stress when you are the main breadwinner keeping your family housed and fed and all the rest of that good stuff. So that was a big one. That was a hurdle. And then just honestly, the fear of doing it by myself. This is a wonderful time we're going into, because more and more women are doing it by themselves, which doesn't necessarily mean it's not even meant to be a political thing. It's just saying the beautiful thing about being women is that we can do it by ourselves. And I had all the same concerns you might expect. Like, I want to make sure that my daughter has father figures around and has good male role models in her life. And so that was kind of a hurdle I had to get past as well. And then after you get all past that, there's the biological bit. So I would hope, so back when I was considering all this, egg freezing, which you may have heard of, but was becoming a thing. And it really is an amazing thing. I think the only thing I would caution for anybody that goes down that path, and fortunately your audience, I think, is young enough that they don't really have to worry about this, but don't wait. So I was always one of those folks, so I'm very good at being open to new opportunities. The downside of that is I'm not always as good at thinking out 10, 20 years and realizing what I should do. So I would say there is a way to preserve your fertility. If that's what you want to do it as young as possible. But then I have to say, once I went down that path and had my daughter, it is the most amazing thing ever. And I am so grateful that I didn't miss this just because I wasn't following the traditional path.
Yeah, and that's great that you came out of it and you were brave and you said, I am woman, hear me roar. You know, it's true. We can do anything. And that's what I love to instill in these girls. Like, you know, you have so much power that you don't even know that you have.
Yeah.
And you have all the weapons you need. I use that quote a lot. You have all the weapons you need. Now fight. So
you do.
Yeah, I just think it's so important that we share this, like when women make these kinds of decisions, because it has to be a life-changing decision for you.
Oh, very much. I mean, there's the obvious one that anybody that has a kid, it's life-changing for them in the sense that all of a sudden you can't just go out at night like you might want to, and things like that. But it was more profound that you are taking on responsibility for a life, and you have full responsibility for their happiness, their well-being, their everything, which is a pretty heady responsibility. It's just there's so much joy, it totally makes it worth it by doing it. And the good news is what's good for women doing it, I think it's probably harder for men that decide to do the single parent route, is that when I hang out with women in the moms group that I'm part of that are all married except for me, you would never know it because the women do all the work anyway. And when we get together, it's pretty much all the women with their kids anyway. It's really kind of funny. So
it's true. We do it all. We multitask. I don't know what it is in our DNA, but we definitely have that versus the dudes. Yeah. They have to compartmentalize. I mean, it's really funny. So,
and as you said earlier, you know, there's no saying that she won't have that, you know, that I might not meet someone down the road, but it's nice that I didn't put everything on hold for that. That's, I guess, what I urge people not to do.
Well, I like what you said about letting that go.
Yeah.
You said that, well, you know what? Why don't you say it, because you have a better way of saying it. But you said once you let it go, you know, you were more open. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when I really did, it was such a hard thing. I mean, so at the time, I mentioned I had just gotten out of a relationship. I even asked the guy if he wanted to be effectively the dad/sperm donor. And I'm so grateful he didn't, because at the time I was still hung up on this model of this kid needs to have a dad in their life to be complete. And so I was hung up on that too. And then once I said, you know what, that wasn't an option anymore. It's either do it on your own or don't do it. And I wanted to make sure I did it. And then now that I have, and I look around me, the beautiful thing about this country is there's so many groups, right? There are plenty of groups of single mothers. It's actually called Single Mothers by Choice. It sounds a little political for me, but it's people that choose, you know, a lot of women get there too through divorce. There are lots of single moms out there, but there is this group that is a growing group of women that decide to just do it on their own. So, and I'm also doing it later in life, so that makes me also somewhat unique, and brought up other concerns. So concerns about, will I be too old? You know, what if I pass away before she's old enough to really enjoy me? And I had to set all that aside too and say, all that I can do is be the healthiest, most loving mom that I can be, and that has to be enough.
That is profound. Profound. I mean, you're the kind of woman that we just really admire here at Supergirls. You know, you have a plan and then you just make it happen. That is what life is all about. I love that. I love that you're my friend. So impressive. Yeah, what an awesome story. Okay, so last question is, if you could give our girls one piece of advice as they rise, what would it be?
I think focus on two things. Actually, can I get two?
Yes.
So one is the relationships, which we've already talked to. Okay. So one is the relationships, which I've already said, but really that is core to anything, probably even bigger in a big company, because it's easier to stagnate in a big company unless you focus on your relationships. But the other thing that it took me way too long to figure this out, and I worked with a career coach to figure this out, is as someone put it, be wise. So it is really tempting. We spend so much time at work. It is really tempting to get bent around the axle when we feel like someone kind of did something wrong, or they betrayed us, or they gossiped about us or something, or they're just not doing their job right. There's so many things to get irritated about in the workplace. but it's a workplace, and you have to let it go. Because if you look around, the people that are the most successful and have the strongest duration are the people that don't sweat the small stuff. You got to really separate your ego. That stuff in your personal life is great, but you have to be really careful and just say to yourself, be wise. Do you need to bring up something that someone did? Probably not, right?
That
so
is
just be
so
wise.
true. Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff. It's true, because it's a job. They'll come and they'll go. And while you need to be committed and work your ass off, you do have to keep in perspective. Fantastic advice from Mama Marie. So everyone, after you listen to this, now you're at the end, and now I'm going to let you know, if you go over to our website, supergirls.com, once Marie is live, you can get the 5 things you need in order to make a life-changing decision, something you will use the rest of your life. Very, very key. So don't forget to hop over to the website and get your free gift. Marie, what's the best way for our guests to get in touch with you if they want to reach out?
You can, I would say to go ahead and give them my email address.
Okay.
It's, I know. Just don't give it to the spam marketers, please.
All right.
So
no
it's
worries.
Marie. Yeah. So it's mariew005@gmail.com.
Okay. We got you, girl, and we thank you so much for being part of the movement and part of Supergirls. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all your wisdom. And everyone, thanks for joining into the show. Go out there and be wise. Listen to Marie, Mama Marie. All right. Bye-bye. Peace and love.